It's time, America.
Hey, everybody. I don't think we have a verdict yet, but we'll be on standby. Jen's going to be here in a moment, and hopefully Margaret. Let me just pull us into Court TV's feed, which is nothing really happening right now, but I know it gives people some comfort knowing to see that we've got it on the trial in case something comes in. So we've just got the "we'll be right back" mark. Hey, Tolly. Hey, Kelly. So I'm not sure what happened when the feed ended there, but it could be just Margaret got back and realized there was nothing going on. So I don't blame her. This could happen today, or it could take days. As a lot of lawyers have said, a lot of times juries don't like to leave it hanging over the weekend, so they'd like to finish their business today. But that's not always the case. We thought that was going to happen in the Karen Reed case, and it did not prove to be the case. I believe they waited till Monday. Put the volume off that. All right, I turned the volume off the Court TV since they're playing this, and when they come back into court, you guys may have to remind me to put the volume back. No, I haven't heard anything about a verdict, Joe. And hi, Laura. And hey, Western Mass, Mark. Let's see what this is. No, nothing yet. I didn't see what. Well, I was in and out this morning. I don't remember what Brian wore to court this morning. Hey, Barb. So from the doctors, I was able, in the doctor's room, I was waiting for the doctor to come in. I got to see pretty much the entire defense closing. And then I got to see from another room a little later some of the prosecutions, but the volume was so low and I didn't have earbuds with me. So I got to see some of it from the CC. But, I feel bad for you guys having to watch the CC. It's not very good. It doesn't capture the words very well. Thank you, Molly. Black jackets are probably similar to what he had yesterday, right? And Jen had texted me, so she was the reason I came back live. So I'm pretty sure Jen will be in a moment. Let me just make sure. So I've learned a lot from this trial, especially, listening to Jen and Margaret and also Judge Lou and Judge Carroll. It was good to see Judge Lou here today. And, I'm not a lawyer, but it was great this was a case with a lot of interesting things, and they weren't 100% sure either how things would go down. And so we learned this morning that the judge gave the jury the option to have the lesser included. Am I using the correct? I'm not sure if that's the correct terminology for this situation, but lesser included of the jury has the option of going with murder 2 or with manslaughter. And I think a lot of us think that manslaughter 2 probably makes the most sense and is also a good compromise situation for a jury. So it's not a lesser included, Maui. It's technically just another option. Is that the way it would? How should I word it? Valeska would not go with manslaughter. I'm assuming you'd go with something higher, maybe like murder 2 or murder 1 even. Judy's a little worried. I think this, we shouldn't worry too much because what if they're debating between murder one and murder two? So, there's a lot to debate. It's an instruction on the law. Oops. Sorry, provided to the jury. But how does it look on the jury form, I guess, would be my question. Trying to, how does it look on the jury form? Maybe Judge Carroll will join us. Maybe I should text her. I texted Carol. Carol's very busy. She's always in meetings and doing. She's a huge advocate for children who have been victimized. So Carol will get back to you right away unless she's in a meeting, but she's often in a meeting, and she's working on a documentary too. You see, it's a tricky one, right? Says the Commonwealth didn't offer it, but the judge offered it. Not offered it, but gave the jury that option. I'd like to see the jury form. These jury forms make a big difference, right? And we learned that in the Karen Reed case. And actually, I remember in the first trial for Karen Reed, the defense requested changes on the jury form, and I in the jury form, and I actually agreed with them. And the judge initially gave them a hard time, but ultimately did make changes that reflected what the defense wanted. So Joe says it is referred to as a lesser included. So these are two heavyweights from our channel, my moderator Joe and Molly. They are two of our most informed that we lean on heavily for. Short of having our judge friends and lawyer friends, we lean on them, and they're not, and they're in disagreement on this. So we'll see. So we're really not sure. We'll see if we can get this settled. Joe, what time is it where you are? Are we keeping you up late? Or is this a good time? And is your son still dunking the basketball? Margaret's son is like 6'3", I guess. So maybe we should get them to play together. 7:04 a.m. Oh, so you were up all when? We kept you up all night? I'm sorry, Joe. You are truly dedicated. From now on, we're doing our shows at midnight to make it up to Joe. And of course, we have a lot of fans in Ireland and in Britain, and so they like it when we do the afternoon shows. Oh, I can't say where she lives, Allie. That's up to her. Joe is very mysterious. The dude is here. The actual dude, my friend, the dude. If I was in the other office area, you could see the sign behind me, the neon that says Yellow Cottage Tales. And the dude sent me that. So good to see you, dude. One of my favorite movies, too. Elaine, welcome. You remember Elaine? Elaine's been a long time regular here, busy with us during the other trial. Can't do a slam dunk yet. So your son's a little younger than, well, it's probably several years younger than Margaret's, who is like mid 20s. And Jen is here. Hey, Jen, we'll wait till you You ready and up?
Kevin, are you running solo?
Yeah, for now. I sent Margaret the invite, so we'll see. Hopefully she can join us. And I texted Carol, and I wish we could. We're still trying to understand exactly how all that works, Jen. Is it lesser? Is murder 2 and manslaughter, are those lesser included charges, or are they just alternative charges? How does that work? Do you know? The noise is on. The noise is on. There's some noise on your end, Jen.
Oh, there is.
Someone
I
asked.
am
I'm
in
not
the car.
sure. Oh, you're in the car. Okay, that's all it is. Yeah, she's in the car. It's
So
okay.
what I can do, let me put in my earbuds. Does that help with that?
Okay.
Let's see. I'll try
And
it.
we hear you good. We hear you loud and clear. Just there's a little bit of background noise.
Is that better?
Yes. Yes, and we hear you loud and clear too. It's still there a little bit, but that's okay. I can
That's weird.
edit your.
It's not paired with my phone, I don't think.
You know what? I have a thing I can try to fix it a little bit. There's a thing where the stream service will automatically adjust your mic. Let's see if that helps.
Okay. I can also.
They're getting better.
I don't think I'm paired up with my. I don't think I'm paired up, but nevertheless, I'll try to answer your question, then I'll fiddle with this. The answer is, I believe that it means that they could decide manslaughter or murder 2 or murder 1, I believe.
Yeah.
But certainly the better people to answer that are both the judge and Margaret, because they're more familiar with the law there in Massachusetts. But I believe that that's what happened by adding that to the instruction.
Right, and we've wondered why the state, and I know Judge Carroll has wondered why the state didn't charge murder 2 to start. But I also think it may have been their plan to leave it in the hands of the jury, because we really don't have any more evidence for murder 2 versus murder 1 or manslaughter. Because we just don't have any idea what happened. So it would be hard for the state to pick either one of those to go with, short of having so they've chosen to go the premeditated route, I guess. I don't know. They may have had to.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, from the closing arguments, the Commonwealth, is expecting to get a return verdict for murder 1. They didn't even visit anything to do with manslaughter or anything to do with murder 2. They absolutely.
I didn't get to hear it. Can you, Jen? I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you. Can you fill us in on that, because that part I didn't get to hear today. I did hear the defense's closing arguments, but I couldn't hear. So if you could refresh or fill us in with details for what exactly they went for their arguments.
Oh, well, the first thing she did was she said Anna Walshe is not here because that man murdered her, and pointed over and kind of tried for a dramatic start to her opening, and then really went through the evidence, but clearly pointing to first-degree murder, not indicating any crime of passion or any sort of accident that might have happened. No. Everything she outlined, and she did a good job, I think, of combining the Google searches, talking about the knife, the rug, just everything. She did a good job of, I think, laying the breadcrumbs. She wasn't particularly exciting to listen to. She stood behind the podium. She looked at her notes a lot. She's not she's not an orator, but she certainly knows her business, and she knew the facts to a degree. She just needed prompting.
Mm-hmm. Did they mention any premeditation or make any argument for that?
Yes, I mean, that was their whole argument, is that this is premeditated murder. And remember, it can be just a blink of the eye, right? It can you can premeditate murder in just seconds. And so they did a nice job going through every single bit of evidence leading up to, the murder. I mean, just things about the slippers and, all that was done in advance and then all that was done after. And, you know, she didn't focus on as much as I had hoped in a really impactful way, but the way he talks about, murder in his searches, what to do with a body after a murder, or whatever the exact words were. How long does it take for a body not to smell after a murder?
Mhm.
So I wish she would have opened it up with that, but that's just a stylistic thing.
Yeah.
I thought those should have been even more emphasized, but she certainly emphasized it. She did a good job, Kevin. She got all the facts out there to lay out the circumstantial breadcrumbs for premeditated.
I was just going to ask you what specific things she might have mentioned, and Liz, the bee in chat, said the lost phone. So he had that night when it was trying to tell the friend Jem it was over that the phone was lost, yet it was plugged in the whole time, suggesting he knew that it wasn't, which means he was planning something, right? And you, because to me, the only thing I remember that really indicated premeditation, other than the consciousness of guilt argument, which has always been tricky with me with these trials, from things that happened after the fact. But you had the lost phone thing, and you had the weird search that I don't know if she mentioned it at all, the prosecutor, but the weird search that was made on Christmas Day for what was it? Anna Walsh found dead, I believe.
Yep, Anna Walsh found dead, and then also, the best state to get a divorce, which again, I don't know if you'd really consider that premeditation
Right.
for murder per se.
Right.
But just, I think the slippers too,
Hmm.
the blood on the slippers. As I said, the rug. I mean, how I think it played out, and I said this earlier in chat, so I hate to be redundant. I'll be quick. I think that they got into a horrible fight that night. I think she probably was saying, I'm going to leave. I'm moving up
Hmm.
there. I'm getting the kids up there. This is what I'm going to do. And I think he absolutely blew up, lost it. I think he took the knife and stabbed her and killed her in the living room. And then I think he drug her downstairs, dismembered her there, and then played cleanup afterwards.
Did they? I thought I heard some mention of the rug and possibly that it was in the living room. Did they mention? Did they go into that at all?
The rug was 100% in the living room because, we have the photo. And that was a photo that the defense really fought hard not to have entered. But you can see it's laying right there in front of the fireplace. So it's clearly in the living room.
Right. And does the blood pattern on that rug suggest anything at all that we can tell whether it was the location, possible murder location, or was it used? Can we look at that blood and say, well, maybe this was used to cover her up or help move her, or can we learn anything from the blood pattern that was on the rug from your experience?
Well, I don't know if you'd say from the blood pattern, but just the fact that that rug was so bloodied. And that tells me that was likely where the murder was. I really believe that it
Mm,
happened on
I
that
think so.
rug because they had to, we think downstairs based on all of those copious amounts of blood that was left and found and traced that's where she would have been dismembered. But now you have two different locations where there was blood. And then again, you have that knife. But what was
Right.
interesting, Kevin, didn't you think in the defense, he lays it out. The defense attorney laid it out, and Margaret and I discussed this. I thought it was a mistake that he laid out the prosecution case and then tried to punch holes in each one. For instance, he brings up the knife and he said
Yeah.
words to the effect, and the prosecution wants you to believe, circumstantially, this knife was used to kill her, but why would he put it back in the cupboard and all of this? And I thought, man, I can't believe he's saying the words that the prosecution should be saying.
Yeah.
That
Actually,
is what you can extrapolate.
I was commenting the same thing in chat as I was listening to it, that he was really going into detail of what the I mean, we know that, I guess, and like Margaret mentioned, he's anticipating what the prosecution's going to say, so trying to answer it. But still, even talking about dismembering and disgusting and the word choice, I thought he was I thought it was a strange choice to keep the jury so focused on that stuff, and and then try to rebut it, but it's hard. So yes, I agree.
Yeah, I thought it was a huge mistake on his part, the defense lining out all the
Yeah,
breadcrumbs, and his excuses didn't make any sense. I mean, I think he put that knife back because he didn't want it to be noticed as being missing, for
yeah,
anybody who could, if it was part of a knife set or anything like that. He probably thought he wiped it down well enough, and he didn't. He missed some blood.
right.
So he's no Brian Koberger when it comes to
So
cleanup.
one of the things that because I've only gone through a few trials, you've been participated in so many, both in terms of your FBI career, maybe even before that in other jobs, and also as an expert who testifies in many cases now during the year. So for me, I learned a lot. But I'm wondering if there's something you personally can take away that you learned from every trial. Is there something that you learned from this trial that you'll remember that you'll apply maybe in other situations? Or I know that's a tough question. I like to give you tough questions, Jen.
Sorry about that. Are you still there?
Yep, we hear you. Yep,
Okay, sorry about that.
it's okay.
See, something that really sticks out.
Anything unexpected or
Nothing
something
really.
that was maybe unique?
Oh, yes. There was one thing that really stuck out to me. You seldom hear a defense attorney make a promise and not keep it. And
Yeah,
he made
very
such an
good.
important promise, that we would hear from Brian Walshe, and then they changed their
Mhm.
strategy at the last minute. And that was critical, I thought. And I've
Yeah,
never seen something that drastic before like that.
right. And he not only said that you're going to hear from Brian, but he said that Brian's going to tell you what happened
Right.
to his wife, and they gave the story. Said that she died in bed. Now you can look at that. That was a clever way to get it in for the jury to consider, and because they were not going to be able to get in experts to testify to that, or like you said, now you've broken the trust of the jury, and we've talked about it so many times with the lawyers that we've had, how important it is to have that trust with the jury.
Yeah, I truly thought it looked horrible.
Yeah.
I really do. And if anybody on that jury was, might maybe having second thoughts, I think that the way that played out so horrible for them. And I don't know why they really should. First of all, they shouldn't have said it. It would have been just better to surprise,
Right.
to surprise everybody with it. Because typically, these defendants don't typically testify except when they have no other choice, right? I believe he
Mhm.
had no other choice than to testify. But don't promise it and not deliver. It's better to
Mm.
just not promise and not deliver.
Right. Right. No, that's a really good. You don't really see that, and it took us all somewhat by surprise. Um, I do, and Margaret said this would be unethical, but I do wonder if it was a strategy, kind of all along, to do that, because it makes a certain sense to me from a cleverness point of view to be able to plant that in the jury, and that was the only way to really plant it, and then kind of second it a little bit by challenging the state's medical examiner to admit that yes, people do die in their sleep once in a while, even healthy people, like obviously was, and then not have to fall. I thought it was a potentially clever way to get it in there, and then be able to make the argument that we don't know what happened. So I don't know. We'll see what the jury does.
Yeah, it's a balance test.
Yeah.
I think it's a huge mistake, but and it also just seemed the way everything was tracking that they had a change they had a change of heart to not
Yeah.
put him on the stand. It kind of seemed like that when you look at the witness list and things like that. I also don't understand why they didn't at least put on a different expert to talk about, even though they didn't examine the body, just to talk generally about statistics about how many 39-year-old females in good health have that happen to them. Maybe it's too low to do that, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Would have been great if they had some scientific background as to how often this happens to perfectly healthy people.
I don't know what the law is on that. Can you just have someone come on and speculate like that when there's no basis for it? I don't know what the law is on that.
Well,
Another
I don't
question
think
for the
it's
judges.
really speculation. It's just providing scientific evidence. But I do agree with you that by him not testifying, maybe it did limit him so much that they were so limited they couldn't have anybody on. But the other thing is, there were zero sort of character witnesses in any way, shape, or form. To just get up there and say, they had a beautiful relationship, blah, 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 blah. The mother up there, somebody up there to talk about the beauty of their relationship or just somehow paint a positive picture in some way between them. I know some of the other witnesses said some things that were positive to a degree, but I'm just saying, I can't believe he didn't put anybody up there. No matter what everybody says, the jury wants to hear out of his mouth that he didn't kill her. They want it. They want
Right.
him to look at them and say that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to imagine that the jury would let him get away completely scot-free on this. What are some of the other channels and shows that you've been appearing on to discuss this case, Jen? I know you went on Court TV yesterday morning, or this morning too.
Yeah, mostly on Court TV. Quite honestly, News Nation and the other local channels. I do a lot of local work where crimes happen. So Boston, as a matter of fact, WBZ.
Mm-hmm.
Calls about other cases, and same with LA. I was just on in LA. I was just on in Houston, but they're calling about cases that have nothing to do with this. So, and then last night I did a show with the DT show, but we talked of all things about Summer Wells. We didn't even talk about this case. So it's kind of interesting. I would have guessed that this would have been more in the limelight, but it's really not. I don't know whether it's because it's a slam dunk. I mean, the other thing is, Proctor, they kept Proctor totally out of it. They weren't able to figure out a way to weasel him into it.
Right.
So
I don't know what role. I know he was one of the investigators. I don't know what his role was in this investigation.
He was the lead investigator for the state.
I had heard that, but I don't even know that. So he was definitely the lead? Okay. All right.
He was the lead, but as I said a long time ago, and so many people who have never worked in law enforcement, it's so interesting when they argue these points. But when you are the lead, when you are the head investigator, oftentimes you're not collecting things. You're deciding who's going to do what, who needs to go where. You're keeping track of all the evidence, but you're not necessarily the one doing the interview.
I got to interrupt you, Jen. I think we're live. So.
Oh, good. Bye.
Okay, we'll talk soon.
Parties have reviewed, and I would think that would be an appropriate way to assist them in their evaluation of the evidence, but it needs to be cleaned up. In particular, on a quick review of it, photo 52 should say something other than butcher paper.
And 189?
Also the same term?
No.
What were you calling it? What kind of paper? Bench?
Bench paper.
That term is used throughout. So what is it that is, that term is used in other numbers? So is it something about that particular photo that is problematic with that description?
Oh, I just don't like it, but
I know you don't like it, but I'm trying to distinguish between, I think there was one witness who used that term butcher paper as opposed to bench paper. And I don't think it was the witness that was associated with that. This is just the old fashioned terminology that people often use to describe that paper. I think I used it at the side of the bench one time, not in front of the jury, but just with you. But I think that is there's a more neutral characterization that would be appropriate and more in line with what the witnesses actually testified to. But as to the other language in 189, it seems to me that that's what the witness testified to, right?
That's correct. Yes, Your Honor.
Anybody, let's all take a moment to look through the list right now and see if there's anything. I'm going to do that right now. The answer to their question is 97, by the way.
Yes.
Let me just take the time to look through these, and you do the same.
Other than that, that's the blood clots.
If I understood right, they're going over wording used to describe the exhibits, right? Did I hear that right from the judge?
Yeah, I think you're right. And butcher paper is something you never want to use in a case like this.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
And did you hear all the discussion? They're going to allow all the instruments to go back. You know, the shears, they're going to allow the
To go back with the jury? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the knife. So in other words, as an example, Julie, when she practiced up in Pennsylvania, in her jurisdiction, they didn't allow that. And in the federal system, you allow that. You even send the guns back. Just make sure they're made safe. But all of that goes back. And I think it's so important because a picture isn't worth 1,000 words when it comes to the real size of a hacksaw and feeling that blade and seeing that it could be used to dismember a body, or you know what I mean, the smallness of that knife, how it wouldn't be instrumental, or those shears, how they're down to the nub now, you know, in terms of probably because they cut the carpet is what I
Yeah.
think.
It's also hard to, I mean,
Aside from that.
I don't know if this is proper, but it's hard. Oh,
The change.
Okay.
going back in.
Oh, doing this one? 182.
All right, so I'm going to write back to the jurors and I will give them the name of, or the number of the photo, which is, I'll answer it as exhibit number 97. And here's an exhibit list to assist you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Here you go, Madam Clerk. If you want to look at it, you're welcome to. It's pretty straightforward. Thank you.
I don't believe there was a question from the jury, Thomas. Just some questions about wording on exhibits given to the jury.
I agree. I think they were just ferreting out. But that is kind of interesting because I think we were all under the impression that they went back to deliberate and they had everything they needed. And now this makes me think, they don't have everything they need to deliberate today. Or, I mean, they will, but they haven't had it so far.
But they have been deliberating, right?
Well, she released them to do that. Certainly, they could have eaten, they could have done some things, but I would think they'd be deliberating on what they have. In federal court, I can't remember a time where anything would have been piecemealed. In other words,
Right.
go back there and deliberate, but by the way, you don't have everything. We made sure everything was back that they needed, and they needed to put those tools on boards and secure them with zip ties, so that they would be safe, I guess, that nobody would accidentally cut themselves on the knife, say. And so that was going to take some time. So I don't know if they piecemeal in Massachusetts. That would be a good question for Margaret. I know in the federal court, we don't. Like when you go back, you have everything you need.
Right. Valeska says that Court TV said there was a question, but we didn't really miss anything there. I mean, we only maybe missed like 2 seconds of what the judge was saying, if that. So I don't think there was a jury question, but Court TV may have thought there was a jury question. Understandable if the attorneys were called back in.
Yeah, I didn't see it that way either as far as a question, but if Court TV said there was one, there could have been one, but it didn't seem that way. It seemed like they were all discussing how exhibits were going to be termed on the exhibit.
Right. I didn't hear the question read out. So, and we would have. So I don't think there was a question, but I'm not 100% certain. But I think I'm going to guess that Court TV just heard that the lawyers had been called back in. And so they assumed there was a question and possibly made a mistake.
Well, if anyone in chat knows what that question might have been, if there really was one, please let us know.
Right.
Is that a little quieter now in the background?
Yeah, there's nothing. The court's now in recess again, so there's nothing going on in the courtroom, and I'm just watching chat to see as people try to offer what they've heard about possible question.
Oh, I meant the feedback in the vehicle I'm in. I just wanted to make sure it's not.
Oh yeah,
if it's too distracting, I don't want to be on. Yeah.
Nobody has said anything. Totally said it was a question. I think they wanted an evidence list for what I went back and listened to.
Well, that makes me feel better that they actually have everything, because that wasn't making a lot of sense.
About blood clots and this discussion about the jury asking for exhibit.
This is Court TV, but this is another case, so I'm going to close this. I'm going to turn the volume off this. Okay. See, we leave the feed on, but I turn the volume down because they play these little things here. So that's why I have to be watching all the time. If all of a sudden they go back on the screen, we could miss a question. But I don't think I missed one, but because I saw as soon as the feed went live again.
Well, if certainly there is a question, I always think it's great when you see these jurors really look at every piece of evidence and they really take care to understand it and don't rush. Typically what they do is, as you probably know, because you've been on a jury, is the jury person will conduct a poll right away just to see what everybody's thinking.
Maui said your background sounds fine now.
Oh, good. I'm going to have to go here pretty soon because I'm almost at my destination, but I just didn't want to interrupt the flow of everything with some background noise.
The Jolie file says that the judge said everyone saw the question and the attorneys answered that they had. So that's weird. They just gave them a copy of the question and didn't read it out. That's South Philly says it wasn't really a question. They wanted on evidence list. So something to do with the evidence list.
Oh, I bet they wanted an evidence list.
Okay.
And so they were making sure the terminology on the evidence list, which is kind of odd. It's, you don't really have to give an evidence list because you're giving them all the evidence. But maybe they wanted to understand what they were looking at.
Right.
Because in some of those pictures, and I got to tell you, in some of those pictures, just when you see them alone, it's confusing, right?
Right.
You know, where is it at in the house? It was, but you know, if you saw any of those photos, it was a little confusing. So I bet you anything, that's why they want the evidence list to line up with the evidence pieces that they're looking at. So that makes a lot of sense to me now. And they want to make sure they didn't put anything like butcher paper or other verbiage like that that could be problematic.
Totally. I have not heard from Margaret, but I'm not worried about her. I'm sure she's fine. She just is Margaret's very busy, and I'm sure if there probably had been a verdict, she would have found a way to jump on.
Yeah,
So
I
Joe
did
said,
talk
yeah,
to
it was a
Margaret.
clarification.
Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead, please.
No, I was just going to say I did talk to Margaret, and she was doing great. We had a conversation when she was driving home from her dropping off the boys at Logan. So, but like you said, the reason she's probably not on now, did you text her or just email?
I did. I texted her that we were going live again after you texted me, so I'm sure she knows about it, but she didn't get back to me.
Yeah, she's probably tied up with something.
Yeah. So they will probably come in around 4 and dismiss the jury, I would think, right? If they haven't reached a verdict.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know how this judge operates in that regard, but she just seems so efficient. And the way she was talking about wanting matters sort of tied up, for instance, she even wants the, the statements regarding impact to the victims in this case. She was really pushing for that, and she wants to get it tied up. And I just think she's, sometimes they say, hey, listen, do you guys want to go later? And then they'll agree to that, and then if they come
Okay.
back and she might even say, we're going to work on Saturday. I mean, it's at the judge's discretion. So I wouldn't doubt that they stay longer than 4. That's just a possibility.
So the judge might send a note through the bailiff to see how close they might be coming or how they're progressing.
Yes. I would anticipate that, especially in this case. Just the vibe I got from her that she wants to wrap this up. And I think she thinks it's a strong case without saying that or anything in front of the jury. She's obviously been completely neutral.
Yeah. The times I've been on juries, I'm going to say the bailiff, I'm not sure, but the court officer that is assigned to that jury develops a close relationship with the jurors to a degree because they're not supposed to talk to the case about the case with each other and really communicate with anybody else in the courthouse. So he's the person that tends to their needs and answers a lot of questions, not about the case, but lets them go to the bathroom and monitors everything. And they do develop a connection with the court officer that is assigned to them.
Well, and also with the clerk of courts, because remember that clerk really kind of runs everything. And of course, we just had the case of Becky Hill, right? I don't know if you're familiar with that, but where she overstepped her bounds. In that case, but you're right, you make a great point that the clerk of courts and the bailiffs, anybody who's in and around these jurors, there's a connection established.
Mm-hmm. And when you spend, as the jurors, even though this was much shorter than, like, say, the Karen Reed trials, 2 weeks is still a long time. And you spend 2 weeks crammed in a room together, doing lunch together and somewhat isolated, or maybe, and the last time I did a jury, I would get to court very early and I would go up the street to a Dunkin' Donuts and have coffee. And people, first one, and then one juror that I became friendly with, and slowly, by the end of the trial, almost everybody from the jury was meeting early at that Dunkin' Donuts. And so, yeah, you really do develop a connection. But we all abided by the rules. Nobody discussed the case.
Yeah, I think anytime you have something like this, it binds you together closely. I mean, really, you're deciding in this case the case of whether a man is going to spend the rest of his
Yeah.
natural life in prison. That is not a small task to put on somebody. It's really giving somebody possibly even a death sentence, especially if he ever ends up in population and somebody wants to become famous by killing, Brian Walsh, who people know. It's a big, task that they have on their shoulders, and that binds people.
It's a heavy weight, and I've never been on a trial like that, of course. But it's a heavy weight, and I would bet that even a lot of people who think that they could bear that weight without any problem, maybe in that situation, might find that weight to be heavier than they expected. It's a lot to carry, and I think the jurors take it seriously. But it's I can even, and I don't. Brian is obviously not a very sympathetic character, so that makes it a little easier. I think just if it is a woman defendant, it does make it a little easier, or a little harder to want to throw that kind of a sentence onto her. So, do you agree with that, Jen? Is that unfair to say that?
No, I think that that's accurate. I think that, oftentimes that a woman can just be more sympathetic, however you want to term it. So, yeah, absolutely more, for whatever reason, more difficult to give
Right.
such a sentence to somebody who is a woman. So, absolutely, I
Right.
think you make a great point there. But nevertheless, it's the father of children that they're going to leave now, father and motherless. Anybody with a heart is going to take this very seriously.
Right. Right. And and some people, you will bring. We've talked about it. Bring other baggage of their opinions about how the world works or how the prosecution works. They may have something against the Norfolk County DA from other cases, whether it's Karen Reed or Birchmore or something else, or they just may have a problem with the system, or the foreman in the second Karen Reed trial didn't trust police. So there's a lot of baggage that someone could bring in that could, or in certain cases, it could be racism, or it could be, misogyny or something like that, or somebody brings that in and it could interfere with them being a good juror.
Right. There's really, in a sense, there's a lot of rules that they're supposed to follow, but that doesn't mean that they follow them.
Right.
There's, we saw it clearly in the Karen Reed trial. We've seen it in many trials where, people make their decisions for reasons that might be outside of the parameters. Let's just call
Right.
it. And that's usual.
I spoke with people during the Karen Reed trials, both of them, that believed that she was guilty, but had told me that if they thought her sentence might be life or 20 years or something like that, that they would have a hard time voting guilty. They were honest about it.
Yeah, and I understand it's a big, like we talked about, it's a big thing to put that on somebody, but I'm a victim's advocate. I say, in that case, as an example, John O'Keefe had no say, and he was left in the cold to die. So it's harder for me to really establish any sort of real sympathy for people who kill other people. I just don't have any sympathy for it.
And the other thing, in the factor in that case, is that she really turned it into two trials, one of her, but two, the third party culprit, the victims that she all falsely accused in order to get off on it. And so a not guilty vote on her is almost like a guilty vote on them for a lot of people. So that was a factor in it too. it certainly for a lot of us makes her unsympathetic to us because she was willing to. These people were basically offered her nothing but friendship. Let's see, is this live? We have anything going on? I'm going to put on the volume just for a second because
wants to get out of there, but they are strongly considering the evidence in this case, as we all want jurors to do. But let's go ahead and get you caught up on those closing arguments, starting with
they're showing Brian in court. I don't know if this is live or from earlier. It might be from earlier.
Anna Walshe is dead.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's from earlier.
Yeah.
He intended her death.
I don't. Can you hear this, Jen? I got on a little bit. They're
Yes.
playing a clip of the. Okay.
To find Anna's body and to know how she died. So the defendant bought cutting tools at Lowe's and Home Depot, and he cut up Anna's body, the woman that he claimed to love, and he threw her into dumpsters. He was hiding her body. The defendant searched his MacBook. A murder conviction without a body. Please do not allow the defendant's self-serving act of dismembering and disposing of Anna's body to let him get away with this murder. At the start of this trial, we asked you to use your common sense. When you do that, when you analyze the evidence that you deliberate, and continue to use your common sense, you will see that the evidence shows there's only one verdict. Find the defendant is guilty of the premeditated first-degree murder of Anna Walshe.
Yep. She said
Strong words there from
premeditated.
the Commonwealth in mass.
Oh, yeah. No, that's their belief, that's their argument, and it was very clear that that's the verdict they're expecting. Are you there, Kevin?
Yep. Still here. Just watching chat.
Okay.
I guess a
Any
little bit running out
interesting
of
chat? I love their chat.
Well, we got them. They got because I brought up the you know what case. They started talking about that a little bit. So I'm trying. Oh, and there's Maui said that was the last. You couldn't see it because you're in the car. So the photo they showed at the end was her with Jem, her friend, and her kid in it, and wearing the clothing apparently that were found in the trash. So that must have been a photo from that night. Yeah, these are all, powerful things to move a jury.
Yep, it's powerful. I can't imagine any other verdict, but juries, you never know. You never know.
Yeah, I was definitely, in the Karen Reed trial, I wouldn't have been surprised by a hung jury, but I was surprised that 12 people managed to unanimously vote not guilty. That was surprising to me.
Yeah, that was the piece that surprised me too. Hung, never a problem. But and I know we discussed it before, but my biggest problem with that is I really was disappointed that there was no rebuttal witnesses put on. I was disappointed, a dog expert rebuttal, dog bite expert rebuttal, that was never done.
Yeah.
Very disappointed in just the fact, and we talked about it at the time, I never understood why they didn't put everyone in that house on that stand. Made absolutely no sense to me to say he never came in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Put Brian
you might be
Albert
right
Jr.
about that.
Never made any sense, and I think that's why it became a more difficult, a difficult decision for them.
I think that the jury, even though this jury, the ones that have spoken out, have not really impressed us at all with their logic. but even them tried to focus at least on logic and evidence. Maybe not as well as we would have liked, but I mean, I really do think most juries just try to take that seriously and focus on what is the evidence? Could evidence have been planted or manufactured in any way, and things like that. It was a challenging case because you didn't have a clear explanation or theory even about all of the injuries, and there were limited injuries from the neck down, virtually none, just shallow wounds on the arm, and that were not very well explained by the state or by their experts. And the main injury was on the head, and that was not caused by the vehicle. So you're telling a jury that this is a hit and run, but there are no injuries essentially that you can establish on the body. That's a difficult thing to tell a jury and then say you've got to now rule beyond a reasonable doubt. That's a difficult thing. Now, the evidence does go there when you look at the totality of the evidence, because in the old Sherlock Holmes thing, once you've eliminated all of the impossible, what remains has to be what happened. And that's what we had here. There was no other possibilities. There was no time to tamper with the vehicle, no opportunity or time to tamper with the vehicle or plant that evidence 3 feet down by the time the CERT team found it at that main corner piece at 5:45. We know from the other powerful evidence that the defense really didn't dispute what time John got out of the car, and it was only 20 seconds later that his phone stopped moving for the last time. And it's just that kind of evidence in the vehicle data and the GPS, it just doesn't leave any room for anything else, even though the injuries were not explained well, unfortunately.
Well, that's what I was talking about, the rebuttal. They had the brain surgeon, and he was amazing. But, I don't know if you saw this on my Twitter X feed, but I actually posted a photo or a video of a plane, a small plane that just a couple of days ago had to do an emergency landing on I-95, which is the main huge highway through Florida. Yeah. And he lands, and he literally lands on the back of another car, a small passenger car almost. Wow. And everybody wrecks out. It's a hot mess. The pilot didn't even have a scratch. You got to go look at this. In fact, maybe you can bring it up, but
okay.
And it's on my Twitter. I probably posted it maybe 2 days ago, probably. And maybe you could just put airplane crash is probably what I wrote there. Because somebody wrote and said, it's not an airplane, it's an aircraft. And I just laughed. I'm like, no, helicopter is an aircraft. Balloon is an aircraft. It's an airplane. But nevertheless, I put it under airplane. And the interesting part of it is that even the person in the vehicle that got hit, that you would have thought was severely injured, even dead, minor injuries. They just took her to a hospital just in case, but described as minor injuries, and no one else injured. So from working as, when I was getting my EMT, you have to do all of these ambulance rotations, ER rotations, and being a tactical medic, I can tell you it's so unpredictable what is going to happen. I was driving home probably a year ago from the airport. It was 2 a.m. My flight was late. Almost nobody on the road. And as I'm driving home, I see a car that is completely on its side. It's obviously wrecked out and hit the median. Not the median, but they look like the medians, the big concrete type median on the side. And obviously I pulled over immediately, went over to help the person to see if they were even alive. It had just happened. There was a dog in there, 100% fine. And a person who had been thrown completely to the back and was kind of crammed in, he was basically fine too. And to see the car, the vehicle, and to see where everybody was, I would have expected somebody to be dead, and they weren't. So vehicle wrecks and things are so difficult to say, oh, well, they all have to look like this. This is what your injuries have to look like, because it's just not true.
I'm on your Twitter feed. And for anybody else that wants to look, or join her feed, it's at Coffin Daffer FBI. I don't see it though. You have a lot of posts up.
I do
How far back
about
was this?
8 posts a day. So it's probably only 2 days ago, maybe 3 days ago, if that. Check out about 2 or 3 days ago, and I did it mid-morning, if I recall correctly. And you're literally going to see this plane come down. But if you, it might be difficult to do. Which, did you find it? It's
No,
really
not
short.
yet. I'm
It's probably 5 seconds long.
I'm going to share the feed. I know I don't want to take the cord off.
No, don't take the cord off. I don't want you to do that. But no, I've been joking around because I'm spicy Jen today for some reason. You know, usually I try to maintain complete and absolute
You've got a
decorum in my
video
feed.
with an animal carrying a tree across the street.
But that's my beaver post. I did a beaver post. I called it my industrious beaver post, and I ran it by Grok to see if it was a real beaver or was it AI? And of course, Grok says no, that's not AI, and describes how beavers do it, and that video is real. And then, of course, somebody else came into the feed and said, no, I ran it through all my, whatever, my databases, and it's definitely AI. And then Rock said, oh, my bad. You'll see it on there. My bad, it's not really AI. And then we get into this whole discussion about beavers. And I thought it ended up being kind of funny. But that
You've
is an
actually
AI
posted like
beaver.
20 posts in the last 24 hours. You've got a lot of posts up here.
Really?
Yeah, you've
well,
been
if you
busy.
count replies, if you count replies, because I sit there and watch court or watch, the trial, and then I tweet. That's so funny.
And a lot of people watch
watch
our coverage of the trial on Jen's Twitter feed too. She gets good numbers there.
It's actually much wiser to not tweet as often as far as your algorithm for people who are trying to build their channel. It's better to not tweet as often. But at this point for me, I tweet when I find something interesting. Not that I should have tweeted about beavers crossing, but it was just interesting. So every once in a while, I try to lighten it up a little bit. It's pretty heavy,
Yeah, there's some humorous ones mixed in here. I've gone through like 30, 35 videos, and I haven't seen that one yet. But so what I found, I had stopped. I only use Twitter. Hold on one second.
So while he's doing that, I'm just trying to keep an eye on the road here to make sure they don't break in since we're on verdict watch. And I'm sure many of you, it's so interesting that so many of you monitor 2 stations at once. And by the way, for all the people who did this, they said, listen, I've got Jen up on my computer, and I've got Margaret or Yellow Cottage up on my phone. We so much appreciate the support because we're not big channels. We don't do this full time. I think Margaret's trying to do it more. And I think Kevin too would like to have this be more of a full-time job. But you guys are just so appreciated that you come in, and we enjoy your chat and everything you guys have to say.
That was actually, I'm back. That was Margaret on the phone. She is from her car. So she's going to try to come in, but she has never done it from her phone before. So we'll see. Oh, she's kind of getting in. Let's see. All right. Margaret is actually in. Her first time from the car. Be careful.
I hope I don't crash.
Yes, be careful. Don't worry about holding your phone where we can see you. Just talk.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, what's up?
We're talking about everything from beavers to plane crashes to, the verdict watch. It's been a wide span of conversation as we fill in a little bit of time waiting for the verdict.
Um,
I would love
did
to
they
hear what
say that?
chat is saying. Oh, sorry.
Did they? I'm sorry, but did they say that they reached a verdict?
No.
No.
Oh, maybe she's just going to let him go for the weekend.
Not yet. There was a court.
And
We came back.
in
There was
fact, the only thing that's happened. Yeah.
Go ahead, Jen.
Oh, that's fine. No, I was going to say the only thing that happened was, Margaret, they had a question. I think they wanted the exhibit list. And I think it's because as they're processing photos and looking at everything, they might be confused. And an exhibit list, as you know, will say living room photo and sometimes even describe the orientation. And
Right.
so I think it's probably a photo issue that they're trying to figure out what exactly they're looking at. And so they asked for an exhibit list, which is completely reasonable too. A lot of times that will have the time that it's taken into evidence and all sorts of other things. So they were discussing the language that would be on the exhibit list. I think there was something that said butcher paper or something like that, and the judge wanted that off, or there was some discussion about that, which it should be off. You never want butcher paper.
Wait, butcher paper. Butcher paper.
Do you know what butcher paper is?
Well, yeah, they
Do you
use
know
it
what
at the
that is?
butcher.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, at the market. And so maybe there was something, some exhibit or something that, I don't know. I just heard them say something about butcher paper that she didn't want that on there. And
Yeah, I
we're all like,
agree.
yeah, that shouldn't be on there.
Oh.
There's other
And we
ways
got
to describe butcher
another
paper.
comment saying your hair looks nice, Margaret. And I'm getting kind of
Oh my
jealous because
gosh.
nobody ever compliments me on my hair.
Thank you. It's funny. I'm going to my best friend's Christmas party, but it's also a birthday party for a mutual friend, and I have to help her get ready. So I went with my hair only half done. Oh dear. But I like the fact that I can drive and talk at the same time. There's no law against streaming and driving, right? Streaming and driving.
There probably is. This is Massachusetts.
Well, we'll have to look it up. So I have a feeling they won't reach a verdict today.
Jen
I'm
was
giving
thinking
it
that
2 days.
we
No
were
more.
wondering if the judge would, see if a verdict wasn't impending that they might end court around 4. But Jen thinks this judge is going to work them as long as possible.
Oh, well, the only problem with that in Massachusetts, the court officers don't like to go overtime, especially on a Friday night. Right, Kevin?
That sounds
that?
true.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, you must have seen that. The court officers went into the bar after hours.
The ones I saw came in late to see the younger crowd.
Let me tell you, if I've learned anything about Massachusetts, everything has to do with bars and drinking.
Yeah.
At least, that's just a theme there. And I've decided it's because it's cold there.
Yeah,
I remember one time I went into court. I went into court in Worcester. Worcester's got a big courthouse, and the line at the metal detector was about 40 people long. And the court officer recognized me, and all the lawyers are standing in line at the metal detector. And he's, "Oh, Kevin, come on." So I get through like a big shot.
Oh, that's the
best. Nice.
It was, yeah. It's actually, I probably would have rather waited in line. I felt a little self-conscious about it.
We're going through Cohasset. Gee, I should have gone by the murder house. I went the other way. Oh, well.
Oh, you should have.
I could have showed you all the places. I didn't even think of it. Oh, well. I could have showed you, a whole tour of the Anna Walshe. It's sad. I'm not making light of it. It's sad. So anyway.
Jen, one thing I got, you were talking about how they're you know, the impact of the jury seeing the potential murder or dismemberment tools in hand, and how that when I was wondering, and then that's when the jury question came in, was, you know, when they look at Brian, he doesn't look like the kind of guy that works with tools. So it's hard to imagine him normally working with a hatchet, for example. Is that something that people would think about? You know, like this,
Oh my
this guy's
gosh.
not.
We see him so differently. When I look at him, I literally see you, and I'm sure you know the book and the story and the movie, you know, Jekyll and Hyde. And he looks so much like how I picture that character.
No, I
Dr.
think
Jekyll, Mr.
I
Hyde.
think you maybe got the misinterpreted. What I meant is nobody could picture him going out in the woods to do yard work with a hatchet or something like that.
Oh, in other words, that it could have had a dual use, and that's why he
Yes.
had it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, he doesn't. He doesn't
No.
come off as the outdoors, rugged Daniel Boone type. No.
In
Right.
fact,
So
you know what?
yeah.
In fact, I think an argument can be made that he is not handy. That would be my guess. And he did try to cut her up with that knife that he used to stab her with, and it didn't work. So he had to Google and then go out and buy tools.
Right.
Oh, Margaret, no one, even the dumbest person in their right mind, wouldn't think that little knife is going to, you know, cut a femur in half or
Right.
wholly
Yeah,
cut it. I mean, that's just so insane.
I
And the
agree.
fact, I also think it's very interesting that that's the tool he kept. Because remember, he could have put that hacksaw in the garage or the hatchet somewhere that would be normal for a hatchet to be, you know, in a garage or against a tree or something like that. But no, the only tool he kept back was the knife that he tried to sort of stage in a cabinet after cleaning it. So
Right.
I think that that's significant in my mind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
Yeah. So it's hard to picture him using these kind of tools for anything else.
Yeah.
So
Thanks for explaining that, Kevin. It's so funny. I always say, you know, you can make this sentence, I'm homesick, and somebody might take it as meaning you're home and not feeling well, and another person might take it as you mean that they want to go home. And so it was good you explained what you meant by your statement, because I took it the opposite way.
You're right. It's a good point.
well, so we'll see. Do you guys think we're going to hear anything else? Do you want to stay on, or do you want to just? I can leave the feed going too, just in case something happens.
I would leave the feed going. I'm going to step in. I know, Margaret, you said you have a party. And Kevin, I know it's been a very long day for you. And maybe we can keep it going, and then
Yeah.
I'll keep checking it. And Kevin, keep checking it and let us know if something comes up.
Yeah.
If it comes
I mean,
back.
I can
So
talk.
yeah.
I can
Go
talk
ahead.
from the party too, because it's Christine who was on with you guys, my best friend. Remember Jen? She was on with us. Her son was murdered.
Yes, yes.
So that's Christine going to her house. Yeah, so she knows. She's been following it, and she thinks he's guilty. So I mean, she can step on. Yeah, I'll be at her house anyway.
Miranda points out that the murder jury dressed nice on the day they gave the verdict.
Oh,
But
that's a
the
cool
jury,
point.
the jury couldn't have
That's true.
known coming into the first day. So we got clock. We
Well,
got
then
clock. So
they're gonna
something
have- well, they knew
something
they
is
were gonna
happening. We have
Uh-oh, something's happening.
we have clock. So let's see if we
going
can get.
around a rotary here.
Let's see if it says anything on the screen. Movement in the courtroom. It says.
Oh.
So they're trying to be more careful with their headline.
Yeah, it could just be a
What
question,
did their
or
headlines say before?
And it's
Or
410.
we're
Well,
letting the jury go.
before it said jury question before, and we couldn't really determine if there was didn't seem to be. And then people in chat were a great help, but apparently what limited question there was given a copy of to each side, but was not read out loud.
We believe, Margaret, it was a exhibit list.
Yeah. Keep
And
your
did
eye on the
she
road,
answer
Margaret.
that question in front of the jury? I am. I am. You
Jen,
sound
are you
like
still
my
driving too?
son when he's driving with me.
I just parked and I'm getting ready to go in, but I'm going to keep you guys on. I have my Bluetooth earpiece on, so I'm going to be listening and just not talking and listening because, they could be coming back.
They could be. I don't know how to turn my camera off as I'm driving. Oh, there it is. Okay, hold on. Okay, now you can still hear
We
me,
can hear
right?
you. Yep.
Oh, good. Okay, cool.
We thought we heard the police siren there. Hope you're not getting pulled over.
Yeah, there was one. No, I know. He went by me. I was worried too. Nope. Can you imagine? I got pulled over because I was live streaming.
Yeah.
That would be a first.
Thank you. I just unmuted it. Thank you for the reminder. There's nothing. Yep. Thank you. Appreciate it. When I was listening today, did they play a clip of his police interview or something? I couldn't quite hear it. Did the prosecution play
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
What
In
did they
their
play?
closing argument. Yeah.
I couldn't hear it. What did they play?
They played. Oh my gosh, I can't remember. But they did play a few clips of him.
Mhm.
I can't remember the point of it. I'm trying to think now. I'm having a brain issue. Somebody in chat will remember.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys in chat remember what they played in that clip and whether it was powerful or what part of the argument?
Anybody get that?
So, Deborah, we don't know why they're showing the clock now, but the court TV feed says movement in the courtroom. So it could be just the jury has informed the judge that they need more time. She's going to let them go for the weekend. Maybe they have a verdict. We don't know. Could be another question. Oh, Maui came through again. Maui says that one of the clips was him telling the cops that Anna had taken a picture with Jem and sent it to Fastow.
Oh, that's right. Yep. And then the other one. That's right.
Who's the wild guy?
All right, here we go.
Your Honor, we're back on the record in Commonwealth versus Walshe.
Thank you. As is my custom, at 4 o'clock, I send a note on every day the jury's deliberating, asking if they want to stay until 4:30. That note will be marked as the next exhibit for identification. And it gives them the option of staying until 4:30 or suspending and coming back on Monday in this instance, and they've elected to do the latter. So we'll bring them in, send them on the way.
Okay.
Oh, they're going home without a verdict. Okay.
Right.
For ID, so marked.
It's been a long day for them too. Listening actively to closing arguments and jury instructions. That's exhausting.
So this is slightly good news for Brian then, right? I mean, it's hard to overread into it, but
it's hard to say. Remember, many times what they do is they go through all the evidence just to be fair.
All rise to the court. Jurors entering.
And maybe they're deciding between first and second degree,
Mhm.
or they might have one holdout.
Right. Oh, Jen was popped herself out. And Jen, you're back in. I didn't realize you were out. If you wish to add anything.
She might not be able to hear you.
Yeah, that's okay. She was.
Yeah.
I can hear, I just can't talk.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you for your work today. And I'm going to send you on your way for the weekend. I remind you, jurors, that the rules still apply. They will apply until you reach your unanimous verdict. I remind you of those rules now, jurors. Don't speak to anyone about this case. Don't do any research about this case. Continue to have open minds as you evaluate the case, and as you wait to see if you are going to evaluate the case. Don't access any social media or any news media over the weekend. You have a good weekend, get some rest, and we'll see you back here ready to work Monday morning. Thank you, jurors. Thank you.
All right, to the court, please. Jurors, follow me.
I wonder if we'll hear from any alternates who are not chosen. You know, a lot of times they talk like they did.
But
in the
not till
Karen
after the
Reed
trial,
case.
because they can still potentially be called back in, right? Like if somebody
Yeah.
gets sick.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah. They're still required to come into the courtroom, right? Every day.
Just as sure as council, make sure you're back here a few minutes before 9 o'clock in the morning on Monday. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
Margaret, question for you. Was the jury mostly men or women? What was the mix?
When I was there, remember, I'm also looking at alternates. It was, I think it was like one or two more women than men.
Valeska said
the
she
ma-
saw somewhere it was 6'6". That's just, she just added
Okay,
that.
that's that's the final then. 6'6".
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I thought the men looked conservative.
Mhm.
And which is good for
Liz
the common
says 9
law.
women, 7 men. So we don't know.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
And
what
of course,
they ended
that's
up
that's the total jury with the alternate juries.
Oh yeah,
jurors.
that was what I saw. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But then now maybe it's
So they
6
may be
and
both
6.
right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember it was a few more women than men when I went there. And the same thing with the Karen Reed trial. We had some jurors taking vigorous notes and 2 jurors were just sitting there.
Right.
And kind of looked like they were zoning out.
The foreman.
Yeah, kind of like that. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's going to wrap it up, I think, unless anybody else wants to add anything. And thank you again, Breaking the Case with Jen Coffindaffer. That's Jen's channel. And Margaret's channel is It's a Crime Media, or It's a Crime with Margaret McLean. You find that searching on YouTube. And I don't know if she hit 1,000 yet today, but
No, I'm almost there. If you just at It's a Crime with Margaret McLean or at It's a Crime Media, I'm almost there, like almost. So
yeah.
do me a
So
favor
if you can
and
head over and just
subscribe.
click subscribe,
just
click
the
notify.
button. That'd be great.
You're doing her a solid. 1,000 feels like a big number when you get there. You know?
I know when you're, I know it does. 500 felt like a big number, remember back then, and then 1,000's another one, and then it's just, I think it builds from there too.
Right.
So.
Right. So I will be back tomorrow on my channel, Yellow Cottage Tales, with my interview at 4 p.m. And I mentioned that to my doctor today. He knew of the software. This is going to be a really interesting. This software is used to design drugs right down at the molecular level. And so I'm hoping it's just they use artificial intelligence to guide that development. So hopefully people are interested to check it out.
Yeah.
And I probably will be back tomorrow night also, I think at 8:00 to go over Anonymous Mass Lawyer's most recent letter. And then maybe at some point, Margaret wants to come on and go over the new ChatGPT crime. But she can text me or call me and let me know when
Yeah,
she
no,
wants
I
to do that
do.
one.
Oh, no, definitely. Oh, my God. Yeah. That was good. We talked about it in the car today or yesterday.
Yeah.
One of the days.
Yeah. And I saw
That
more
was
articles
interesting.
show up on it too. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I go to the science
All right,
page every
great.
morning and that was one that showed
Yeah.
up there. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I would like to do that. Now, I will be there watching tomorrow at 4. I'm very interested in that, Kevin. So,
Yeah.
I'll
And
be in chat.
we'll be back Monday.
Oh, yeah, we will.
One more time. We got the band back together for this trial, and
Yeah.
we got at least one more day to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. This is awesome. I really enjoyed the
All right.
band.
So thank you, Margaret. And if you can hear me,
Yeah.
Jen, thank you. And thank you to your
Thank you,
audience. Thanks,
Jen.
guys, for being here. And appreciate it.
Thanks,
Margaret.
everyone.
All right. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. And don't forget to tune into Kevin tomorrow. Set a notification.